If I'm communicating with my little sister and I'm asking her if she wants to go somewhere, I usually sign the logo of the place. But if I was talking to grown-ups, I would just fingerspell. Greetings. This is your host, Savannah, signing. Welcome to POVme Airlines. Small world, big talk. We ask that you keep your seatbelts firmly fastened because this episode is gonna rock your socks. Please turn off all unnecessary personal electronics, because let's be real, you won't be needing them. Communicating in other languages is strictly encouraged on this flight. And this is what this episode is all about. The crew will be coming around, serving their hot takes on languages and being multilingual. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of this episode. Prepare for takeoff. Password, please.
The Falcon has landed.
Denied.
Huh? That's the password. Or is it?
Hi, konnichiwa kita.
Welcome.
Oh! لقد هبط الصقر.
Took you long enough.
I'm glad you finally remembered the theme of the episode, Yas. Other languages are such a core part of who we are. It was nice to get a peek before we deep dive. Let's begin. What are the languages you use at home and at school?
I speak a mix of English and Korean at home and English and French at school.
Well, we mainly speak Arabic at home and English at school.
Wow, my language is American Sign Language. And I can communicate in written English. I'm homeschooled, so my education is in ASL.
Have you noticed that even the manner in which you speak English changes based on who you're talking to? Like, the English I speak with my non-Korean friends is very different from the English I speak with my cousins back in Korea.
Yes. With my Arab friends, usually we speak a mix of Arabic and English, but that's not really something I can do with my non-Arab friends.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm communicating with my little sister and I'm asking her if she wants to go somewhere, I usually sign the logo of the place. But if I was talking to grown-ups, I would just fingerspell. So it's the same thing of formality. With hearing people, I usually just gesture for food or water. There are some universal gestures, or I just write the words for what I want to say on a piece of paper, or I type it into my phone. That's actually called code switching, which is the practice of alternating between two or more languages or varieties in language in a conversation. Have you noticed when you switch languages?
Yeah. In Korean culture, there is that difference in how you speak to different generations already in the language. So when I'm speaking English to someone, let's say a year or two older than me, I unconsciously speak in a more formal manner because of the hierarchies baked into the Korean language.
That's exactly it for me too. Also, isn't it annoying when there's a phrase that's perfect in one language, but when you try to translate it, it's just not the same? My Arab friends and I complain about this all the time.
I totally relate. In Korean, there's so many words and phrases that have no English translation. So when I'm trying to explain it to my friends, I'm like, it means this, but also this, but also not that. And, the example I have is like chol. It means bowing in English, but that's not what it really means. In English, it doesn't sound too positive because you don't really bow in your everyday life in the West. But in Korea, it's a common way of greeting and showing respect. What about y'all? Do you have any words, phrases, or proverbs that have no literal English translation?
Yes. It's exactly the same in ASL as well. This sign here means it's really good or awesome. In ASL, a lot depends on context. Facial expressions and even the position of your palm can provide so much grammatical information. For example, the sign true biz can have many different meanings. If I sign it with furrowed brows, it would mean, I cannot believe this is happening. But with elevated brows, it means, are you for real? There are also a lot of signs that don't have a word in English.
Wow, that's so fascinating. For me, it's the insults. English insults just don't have the same depth as Arabic ones. Like, one Arabic insult could take a whole page to summarize. It's sad that my non-Arab friends can't understand my amazing takedowns.
Do you have any words or phrases that you wish more people knew outside of your community so you don't have to translate every single time?
Mine isn't really a word alone, but I wish hearing people realized how difficult it is to lip read. And every deaf person cannot lip read.
For me, I think it's the phrase Allahu Akbar, which a lot of people associate with violence, which is really sad to hear because it really just means God is the greatest. And apparently it's also one of the most feared phrases in the world. Muslims use this phrase when we're in awe or appreciating something because it's a reminder to be mindful and that we have been blessed with all of this from God. You know, instead of cheering or clapping, when someone does something impressive or good, we say Allahu Akbar. It's a reminder to stay mindful and it helps us stay grounded.
Wow, that was such an insightful chit chat, pals. I've learned so much. Thank you.
Did you know that Papua New Guinea has the most languages in the world? At last count, the country had over 841 different languages.
Welcome to POVme, Courage. Courage is a Black, deaf, queer actress and a former Olympian, here to give us a rundown on languages and their history. So glad you're joining us.
Thank you, Savannah. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Yasmin. Really, I'm honored to be here. So I want to share a little bit about how important it is to cherish language. Language is very precious. And remember, my background is someone who's from Guyana. Guyana was originally colonized by the Dutch. And so because of that, the language that we used was taken from us. Dutch was brought over, and the people who were brought to Guyana were not allowed to speak their languages, including sign languages in Guyana. So we primarily use English. That's the language that was used to colonize the area. And really, it feels like our language was taken from us. And so I want to remind you all that language is precious.
Wait, so does that mean languages can die?
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, languages can die. That colonization means that they are no longer around to be used. Sometimes people are even forced to learn other languages, American Sign Language or English, and their language ends up being taken from them because they are stuck and colonized and they have to use the language of the colonizers.
Wow, that's so terrible. And what are the differences between sign language in different countries?
Much like spoken languages, even non-spoken languages have their own dialects and regional differences.
Yes, exactly right, Savannah. For example, in Canada, in Vancouver, they use a sign for the word brown that looks like this. Whereas in Toronto, they would sign it like this. So really, there are significant differences based on region. However, Black American Sign Language and American Sign Language are different too. Black American Sign Language was founded formerly when Black deaf students were segregated in schools and were forced to use language that were separate from their white counterparts. The sign is a little bit more louder. It often uses two hands, whereas American Sign Language is a little bit more straightforward and the signs are smaller. For example, Black women tend to sign beautiful like this. Where in ASL, it's just simply the sign beautiful, like that. So the difference in movement there is one difference too.
Wow, thank you so much for teaching us, Courage.
Of course. Anything for my POVme friends. Bye.
Bye.
That was a blast. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. This was our languages episode of POVme. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.